Good evening, East Alabama. This is the Locker Room, and I'm Namath Pitts. We want to welcome you in on this Monday afternoon. It is spring break for our local county right here in Calhoun County, but spring break does not change anything for us. We continue on with a normal week per usual schedule, trying to give you guys the best local content right here in East Alabama. Before we get started this week, I want to remind you, as always, to hit that like and follow button on our East Alabama Now page so that you don't miss the Locker Room. We're here every weekday, Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. We have highlights of local competition, whether it's baseball, softball, track and field, soccer, golf, whatever it may be right now in spring. We have highlights. We have interviews with local coaches, whether it's after a game, whether it's previewing the season up to this point, whatever it may be. And then we just have the latest up-to-date news on what's taking place in East Alabama. I was at Chockalaka Park earlier today. We're going to have highlights of that in our show in a little bit. But before we do that, again, I do want to remind you to hit that like and follow button. And don't forget about East Alabama Now News, which is tonight at 6:30 p.m. So if you're just tuning in right here at 5 p.m., about an hour and a half from now, of course, we'll have our local news. Mike Stedham and Katie Edwards always bring you guys that. If one of them's out, the other one steps up, whatever it may be. John Holder has your local weather. You know, the weather is looking a little rainy, I think, tonight or tomorrow. I don't know personally if it's tonight or tomorrow, but John Holder can tell you more in just a little bit, and then I will have the preview of tomorrow. We're going to be working a day ahead this week due to a lot of games that are taking place earlier in the day. You've got Alexandria and Pleasant Valley. They're both on the road this week. Alexandria Baseball is down in South Alabama playing towards the beach. Pleasant Valley Softball is playing towards the beach. You've got a lot of teams playing at Chockalaka Park. There's a lot of softball teams playing at JSU. There's a lot of teams that are all over the place this week due to spring break. So on East Alabama Now News, we're going to get you up to date on that. Hey, we're going to start the show the same way that we plan to do it just about every day if we can, and that is by giving you guys a scoreboard of what's took place. Well, today's scoreboard is from this past weekend, and we had a couple games this weekend. We're going to start with baseball action. Let's start with Ohatchee and Pleasant Valley. Jake Robertson for Ohatchee would walk it off with an RBI single that brought in Jesse Baswell, and that would ultimately lift Ohatchee to a win over county foe Pleasant Valley, I should say. Jake Robertson, the guy that hit the walk-off for Ohatchee, he ended up finishing 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs in the win, while Jesse Baswell had a perfect day at the plate. Jesse Baswell went 4 for 4. He had 2 doubles, he had an RBI and a run. Along with hitting a home run, Will Falston hit a home run. He also pitched all 7 innings of this game. He allowed 4 hits, no earned runs, 4 unearned, and walked 3 while striking out 10 batters. So all 4 runs from Pleasant Valley were unearned runs. Pleasant Valley's John Garrett Bryant was the leader for Pleasant Valley with 2 RBIs, but Ohatchee got the win this weekend, 5-4 in walk-off action. You're probably looking at that logo and you're going, what school is that? It's Riverdale. No, I'm not talking about the Netflix series. I'm talking about Riverdale High School out of Tennessee. They came and had a pretty good weekend out here in Calhoun County playing at Chockalaka Park. They played Coach Matt Dearman and the Piedmont Bulldogs Saturday. Piedmont ended up giving up a run in the bottom of the 7th, and they ended up falling to Riverdale, Tennessee, 6-5. It was 1 out, a single, a wild pitch, another 1-out base hit, and that's what it took for the team from Murfreesboro to get the win. Piedmont had a 4-2 lead at this game with getting 2 unearned runs in the top of the 6th inning, but Riverdale countered that with 3 runs, 2 earned in the bottom of the 6th. We were all tied up 5-5 in the top of the 7th. Trevor Pike hit a single. He was 1 away from scoring on Cole Alston's 1-out double, but it would not be enough. Riverdale walks it off 6-5. Catcher Kel Alston for Piedmont reached base 3 times. McLean Mohan was hit by a pitch. He scored on an error. Holmesley started on the mound for Piedmont. He worked the first 6 innings for Piedmont. He surrendered 7 hits, walked 1 runner. Fan 4 was charged with 5 runs total. 1 was unearned. Mohan entered in relief in the 7th inning, and Mohan would take the loss for Piedmont. It's Riverdale, Tennessee, getting the win over Piedmont 6-5. More baseball at Chockalaka Park last week. There was a lot of baseball at Chockalaka Park last week. There's a lot of baseball at Chockalaka Park this week. But how about Coach Edwards' team playing the Knights of Arab? Now, I got to see Arab up close and personal this weekend, but that was 8U baseball. Coach Edwards got to see the varsity team up close and personal, and things did not go too good for the Jacksonville Golden Eagles. They finished with just 3 hits in a shutout loss to Arab. Matthew Salmon, Parker Moore, and Jackson Askew were the only Jacksonville Golden Eagles to reach the base. The pitcher for Arab was Lane Edwards. He pitched a complete game shutout. He allowed 3 hits and struck out 1. It would be Jacksonville falling to Arab 9-0. And the final game of the week, well, it featured the Oxford Yellow Jackets, one of the top teams in the state of Alabama. They went head-to-head with a pitcher from Grove City, Ohio. They are from Ohio. They made the trip to Alabama, and their starting pitcher against the Oxford Yellow Jackets was Keegan Holmstrom. He is currently signed to play college baseball at Ohio State University. So he is going to head to Columbia after high school. But in the meantime, he only allowed 1 hit, struck out 9 runners in 5 innings. And that would end up being enough as Grove City came from Ohio and got the win over Oxford 5-3. Holmstrom's a senior left-handed pitcher. Again, he's headed to Ohio State after high school. Grove City is 24-3. All right. Or excuse me, he is 24-3 as a pitcher overall in high school. And man, he had one heck of a game. He did have to sweat out the bottom of the 7th, though. Judd Sire scored. Nick Richardson scored on hits by Carter Johnson, who's one of the top players in high school. Certainly going to get drafted in the MLB draft for Oxford. And you got to talk about just unbelievable game featuring 2 top teams in the country. Not just teams in this area, but in the country. And you got to give props to Grove City for coming from Ohio to Alabama to play baseball. You got to love it. And I'll tell you one thing about Oxford, and you got to give props to Wes Brooks. Wes Brooks has done a great job the past couple years. I mean, it's probably, been over 5 years now of getting these tournaments going on during spring break and getting teams that are not just from Alabama, but he gets teams from Tennessee, teams from Ohio, Florida. I think at one point they had a team that came to Alabama a couple years ago, and they were from somewhere like Minnesota. Maybe might have even been a California team at one point. I don't remember, but Wes Brooks does a great job of putting together these tournaments, putting together these teams. Speaking of Wes Brooks, we need to congratulate him. We haven't had the opportunity to share this because it was just released last week, but Wes Brooks has been selected to help coach as a pitching coach for the U.S. National team. I believe the age group is either 12U or 8U or 10U, but it's in the youth division. But he's going to be a pitching coach for the U.S. National team. So congratulations to Wes Brooks on being selected for that. So that's our baseball recap from the weekend. It was also a busy weekend for Piedmont girls. They went up to Tennessee to play in a tournament. They went 1-2 in Tennessee. So let's go ahead and go back to our scoreboard. But this time we're going to see how the Piedmont Lady Bulldogs did up in Tennessee. And we're going to start with their matchup against a team from Tennessee, Alcoa, Tennessee. Alcoa, Tennessee would shut out Piedmont, getting the win 7-0. Piedmont finished with only 2 hits in this game. They got shut out. Now you may be going, well, is Alcoa, Tennessee any good, Namath? Well, let me tell you this. They are a consistent contender in Tennessee's Class AA, and they won the state title in 2022. So they're pretty good. Savannah Smith and Amaria Champion each recorded a hit for Piedmont. That was their only 2 hits. Alcoa's McKenna McCarter pitched a full 5 innings. She allowed 2 hits, 1 walk, struck out 3 runners as Alcoa, Tennessee, the Tornadoes, got the win over Piedmont 7-0. Piedmont then would fall to Cherokee County 4-0. They played a local team in Tennessee. They played Cherokee County out of center. Carson Young had Piedmont's only hit. They did not have a good weekend at the plate. Carson Young had their only hit. Savannah Smith pitched all 6 innings, allowing 6 hits, 1 earned run, 4 unearned, while walking 2 and striking out 6. Cherokee County's leadoff batter, Abby Leah, had an incredible game. She went perfect at the plate, she finished with 3 of 4 RBIs, but it was Emma Hill who went perfect at the plate as she went 3 for 3. But Piedmont did find a way to get a win in Tennessee, and their win was over Bledsoe, Tennessee. I believe we're going to show you that. And there it is right there. Piedmont victorious over Bledsoe, Tennessee 3-0. Carson Young was in the mound that game. She spun herself a shutout as Piedmont got the win. She allowed just 2 hits in the 6 innings win, striking out 1 batter. She had a hit at the plate as well offensively. Kayla Brothers accounted for all 3 of Piedmont's RBIs with a 3 RBI triple. Maya Thomas, Ava Pope, and J.C. Glover each had a hit as the Piedmont Lady Bulldogs got the win over Bledsoe County, Tennessee 3-0. So that's the action from this past weekend. When we come back, we're going to have action from earlier today. We've got highlights of Dalton Turner's Pleasant Valley Raiders and J.D. Phillips Wellborn Panthers from Chockalauga Park. We'll have more on that in just a minute as we continue on the Locker Room, presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond.
Ted's Floors and Beyond is excited to introduce our all-new outdoor living collection. Have you ever dreamed of elevating or even creating an outdoor living space, whether it be for grilling, lounging, playing, entertaining, or just winding down? Our quality tile and stone, combined with our expert craftsmanship, will no doubt create unforgettable outdoor moments with family and friends, while also enhancing the beauty and value of your home. Call us today.
For metal buildings in Alabama and the Southeast, Waldrop Manufacturing is your one-stop source. A Waldrop metal building provides the coverage and protection your investments need. They specialize in carports, RV covers, portable buildings, and storage buildings. Stop paying rent for storage. With Waldrop's price per foot, you can actually save money by buying straight from the manufacturer. Waldrop buildings are guaranteed because Waldrop manufactures buildings with U.S. steel right here in Calhoun County. Waldrop Manufacturing, serving the entire Southeast. Give them a call today. For over 60 years, Oxford Lumber has been servicing our area, and our customer service has always been our main focus. Our customer service is what sets us apart from anyone else. From the moment you enter, our highly trained staff will treat you like family.
To enthusiastically provide total customer satisfaction within a positive and self-fulfilling employee relations environment. Visit us at any of our 4 locations or at oxfordlumber.com.
Since 1993, WM Grocery has been a major part of our local community. WM offers the very best in fresh produce and an outstanding meat department. WM also has many local products not found anywhere else and fresh sushi every day. If you need an event catered, come see Mrs. K at any WM store. Curbside pickup is also available for your online grocery orders. Be sure to download the WM app for all the deals of the week and shopper rewards. Go check them out today at any of their locations.
We take pride in our community and appreciate your business.
Ted's Floors and Beyond brings you the Locker Room each and every day. Ted's Floors and Beyond has all your flooring needs, whether it's hardwood, laminate, carpet, tile, luxury vinyl. They have it for you right there at Ted's. You can go by their showroom there in Anniston and you can pick out what you like, want, and need, and they can do that there at Ted's. Also, they've got their partnership with Wellborn Cabinet and will offer you a complete kitchen or bath makeover. That includes cabinets, countertops, flooring, backsplashes, tile showers. They can get it done there at Ted's Floors and Beyond, and now they offer you work on your outdoor space, whether it's an outdoor kitchen, patio, or living space. They have specially made outdoor tiles and stones that can enhance your outdoor experience. Go by and see them today at their showroom in Anniston on Highway 431, right before you get to Sachs Elementary School, or visit them online at shopteds.com. That's shopteds.com. Ted's Floors and Beyond brings you the Locker Room. We continue on this Monday afternoon. I'm Namath Pitts, and this is the Locker Room. We've got highlights from Chockalauga Park, but before we get to that, I want to kind of tell you guys what's going on this week at Chockalauga Park. It's spring break for Calhoun County schools, which means there's a lot of teams that are competing at Chockalauga Park from Calhoun County, but there's also a lot of teams from outside of Calhoun County. Like, for instance, earlier today, when I got done shooting highlights for Wellborn and Pleasant Valley, it was North Jackson and West Blockton that were coming up next on Signature Field. So just to kind of give you an idea of what all is taking place this week in terms of Chockalauga Park, the spring experience was today. You had Wellborn playing Pleasant Valley this morning at 9 a.m. on Signature Field. You had White Plains and Vincent playing over on the BB1 field behind Signature Field. Then you had Pleasant Valley and Weaver playing. And then you had White Plains and Wellborn playing on the BB2. And then West Blockton played Piedmont, and Hueytown Oxford played. So a lot of games during the day at Chockalauga Park. Now, the schedule was adjusted a little bit for tomorrow due to the weather, But tomorrow you have Hewitt-Trussville and Hoax Bluff that are playing at 3 p.m. And then tomorrow night, Pleasant Valley, Coach Dalton Turner's team will be back out there again at 7:40 p.m. where they're going to play Ardmore. And that's going to be on the BB1 field on the back. And then you're going to have Hoax Bluff and White Plains playing tomorrow on the BB2 field at 7:40 p.m. So going to be a late night tomorrow due to the weather. Now Wednesday, you may ask about Wednesday. There are games taking place Wednesday. You have Ardmore and Central Clay playing on Signature Field at 11 a.m. You have Deschler and Wellborn playing at 1 p.m. on the Signature Field. My plan is to be back there at that game. Hueytown and Hoax Bluff will play at 1:30 p.m. on BB1. And then the night game, the cap game, is Matt Dearman's Piedmont Bulldogs playing Class 7A Hewitt-Trussville at 4 p.m. on Signature Field. So my plan is to be there on Wednesday covering Wellborn and Deschler and then turn around covering Piedmont and Hewitt-Trussville. So we'll have highlights of those games on Thursday. And then Thursday at Choccolocco Park, you have Faith Christian and Deschler at 9 a.m. on Signature Field. Oxford and Pell City, that's an area game at 4:30, and then Oxford and Pell City at 7 p.m., so the doubleheader area game. Friday, you have Faith Christian Gadsden City at noon, Oxford, Chilton County at 7 p.m., and then Saturday, you have Faith Christian in Chilton County. That's baseball. That doesn't even include softball. Now, there's a lot of softball action happening at Jacksonville State this week, a lot, but come Friday, you've got Oxford and Saraland softball are going to play at Choccolocco Park. You got Oxford and Arab are going to play at Choccolocco Park. You got White Plains and Hoax Bluff are going to play at Choccolocco Park. White Plains and Pell City are going to play at Choccolocco Park. White Plains and Beauregard are going to play. By the way, two really good teams. Hoax Bluff and Hamilton. And then Saturday, there's more softball action. Oxford and Plainview from Choccolocco Park. Oxford Hamilton. White Plains versus Oak Mountain. Hoax Bluff versus Asheville. And Hoax Bluff versus Beauregard. So it is a busy, busy week at Choccolocco Park. Now, I started my day out there. We have highlights of Dalton Turner's Pleasant Valley Raiders and J.D. Phillips' Wellborn Panthers. But before we show you the highlights, I want to remind you, our highlight sponsor, presenter, is Lindsay Barger of Really Real Real Estate. I do have to ask you, do you love where you live? Well, maybe you're saying I don't. Maybe you're saying it's time for a change. Well, together with Lindsay Barger, we can and we will help make your home dreams a reality. She specializes in home buying, selling, and investing. Whether you want to buy a personal home, buy land to build a dream home, sell a rental home, or just buy a home to flip and resell, whatever it is, Lindsay Barger is your friend through it all. And I know for a fact that she would love to guide you in the process today. So call her at 256-441-2389. And do not forget to like and follow her on Facebook and Instagram at lindsaybarger.realtor. All right, let's get into the highlights from Choccolocco Park, Signature Field, Dalton Turner and the Pleasant Valley Raiders, J.D. Phillips and the Wellborn Panthers. Samuel Duncan is on the mound for Pleasant Valley. He's going to walk Brennan Talley on 4 pitches. This time, Samuel Duncan is going to get Will Phillips to pop it up, and it is caught by Holt Bentley. So the first baseman is going to come up and get the out for the Raiders. This time, Samuel Duncan with the pickoff attempt, but it is unsuccessful. Brennan Talley gets back safely. Duncan this time going to go back to the plate, and he is going to get Tanner Ingram to strike out swinging. Isaiah Amberson on the mound for Wellborn. He's going to look for the pickoff attempt, but his pickoff attempt is unsuccessful. Amberson this time is going to get Will Underwood to pop it up in foul territory, and Will Phillips catches it for the out. By the way, Will Phillips is playing with a season-ending injury, but he's still playing. That should tell you about how strong Will Phillips is. Pickoff attempt unsuccessful for Amberson. This time, Amberson's going to get Peyton Mann to strike out swinging. I'm going to say Amberson's name a little bit right here. He goes for the pickoff attempt again, but it's not there in time. Pleasant Valley gets back safely. This time, Amberson gets a strikeout, adds to his stat line. This time, he's going to get Bryce Freeman to strike out looking. And strike 3. That's all she wrote for Bryce Freeman at the plate. This time, at the plate, Isaiah Amberson's going to draw the walk off of Samuel Duncan. So a little bit of good, a little bit bad for Amberson right here. Still very young, only a freshman. Probably going to be one of the most talented players to come through Wellborn, in my opinion, when it's said and done. This time, though, he gets caught off the bag too far. We get ourselves in a rundown between first and second, and John Garrett Bryant would get the out for Pleasant Valley. This time, Amberson goes to the plate. Logan Williams is going to hit a fly ball to right field, and Sean Perez is going to catch it for the out. John Garrett Bryant now at the plate. Amberson on the mound. Amberson goes to Garrett Bryant. He hits one, and it falls right between third and shortstop for the base hit for John Garrett Bryant. This time, Samuel Duncan, the pitcher, is at the plate. He's going to hit one between center field and right, and it's going to fall, and Duncan's going to get an RBI for the Raiders. All right, Amberson's still on the mound for Wellborn. This time, Noah Johnson is at the plate, and Noah Johnson is going to hit a pop-up, and it is going to be caught by Will Phillips. He caught a couple different pop-ups for the Panthers. This time, Samuel Duncan looking for the pickoff, a little bit closer, but not there in time. Amberson back on the mound. He's already struck Freeman out looking once. He's going to strike him out looking twice. Bryce Freeman strikes out again looking. This time, Duncan on the mound. Phillips at the plate. Will Phillips is going to hit a ground ball to Will Underwood, and he is going to field it and throw it to Holt Bentley for the out. But this time, Cameron O'Brien's going to hit a ground ball to Underwood, but Underwood cannot field it, and that is going to be an RBI for Wellborn as Presley scores at the plate, and we have a tie game now. This time, Samuel Duncan catches J.D. Talley sleeping, and finally, someone gets a pickoff attempt out after trying all game. This time, ground ball to shortstop. Wellborn gets out. Great play by Will Phillips at first to get Noah Johnson out. And then Sean Perez would be the final out of the game. Pleasant Valley would take the lead in the bottom of the sixth, and Sean Perez to Samuel Duncan. Samuel Duncan fields it. He gets out as Pleasant Valley gets the win 5-4 over Wellborn at Choccolocco Park. To start the day, to start spring break, we did talk with the head coach of the Pleasant Valley Raiders, Coach Dalton Turner. We talked with winning pitcher Samuel Duncan, but before we show you that, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll show you those two interviews and more as we wrap up the Locker Room presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond.
Elevating or even creating an outdoor living space, whether it be for grilling, lounging, playing, entertaining, or just winding down, our quality tile and stone combined with our expert craftsmanship will no doubt create unforgettable outdoor moments with family and friends, while also enhancing the beauty and value of your home. Call us today.
We live in a world that moves quickly, and while we are able to connect faster than ever through technology, maybe you've noticed that real connection is hard to come by. Parker Memorial Baptist Church offers you a place to connect, a place to learn more about Jesus and the difference He can make in your life, a place to build relationships with like-minded believers, or maybe discover what it means to be a follower of Jesus Christ. A place to use the gifts and talents God has given you. A place where we love God and we love you. Parker Memorial Baptist Church, 1205 Quintard Avenue, Anniston. Visit our website for details.
We continue on the Locker Room presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond. I'm Namath Pitts. I want to remind you to watch East Alabama Now News tonight at 6:30 p.m. John Holder will have more on the weather and what it's going to do overnight for us. Mike Stedham and Katie Edwards always have the local news going on for you guys, and I will give you more on the sports preview for tomorrow with a lot of teams traveling this week, some down south, some playing at Choccolocco Park. Before the break, we showed you guys the highlights of the Pleasant Valley Raiders getting a 5-4 win over J.D. Phillips and the Wellborn Panthers. And it was a back-and-forth game, a back-and-forth game, a back-and-forth game. Wellborn actually scored 3 at the top of the first, jumped out on Pleasant Valley 3-0. Pleasant Valley tied it up in the third inning at 3-3. Pleasant Valley then took the lead 4-3. Wellborn responded and made it 4-4 in the top of the, I believe it was the top of the sixth. And then Pleasant Valley would score in the bottom of the sixth, get 3 outs, and that was all she wrote as Pleasant Valley got the win over Wellborn 5-4. We talked with the head coach of the Pleasant Valley Raiders, Dalton Turner, after the game. I said, Coach, it was a game that was really back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. One team having a response to the other. But how do you feel like your team played this morning against Wellborn?
Well, we came out with a win, and that's always big, that you just find a way to win. Our kids found a way to win. I asked them in that last inning, hey, just go manufacture a run, just push one across, and, that's what we ended up doing, and it ended up being enough. We didn't hit the ball particularly well today. Past 2 games, we kind of struggled to getting barrels to it, but we after hitting the ball well for 3 games in a row. So we got to get back to hitting the ball the way we know we can hit the ball. Fielding was pretty good, decent. Samuel Duncan pitched a complete game today and did a great job. Settled in after the first inning and did a great job for the rest of the game. And so I'm proud of our guys. They fought through a little bit of adversity right there, had a little bit of a pressure situation, manufactured a run, and won the game.
It can always be tricky to play early in the day, especially at 9 a.m., but it can actually be extra tricky to play during spring break just because you don't really know where the minds are of the players. Some of them might be thinking, man, I wish I was at the beach. Some of them might be ready to play baseball. Some of them might be ready to go home and play Fortnite. We don't know what they're thinking. I know for me, when it came spring break, I wanted to be at the beach. So, I didn't really like when we booked things during spring break because I wanted to go on vacation. But Pleasant Valley, it didn't seem to affect them because they responded to a couple different moments of adversity this morning and found a way to win. But you're always looking to accomplish something when you step on the field. So I asked Coach Turner, what is it that you're looking for your team to accomplish this week during spring break?
Well, we just want to shore up a few things. That's been kind of costing us a little bit, some base running stuff. Make sure that we're clicking on all cylinders. They're going to have a little bit of a break there towards the end of spring break to get their legs underneath them. And then we'll come back and hit it hard. We got an off area week next week where we're going to celebrate our seniors the week after spring break. And then we got a big series in our last area series against Donahoe. And so we're just trying to shore up some things that we're, struggling with a little bit right now, but that's the point of playing these games this week.
They're trying to shore things up before a big area series against Donahoe. That's essentially going to determine who makes the playoffs. Collinsville's locked up the 1 seed in that area, but is it going to be Donahoe or Pleasant Valley? So for Coach Turner's team, you want to try to clean up as many things as you can before you get into that Donahoe series, because essentially that is the season. That determines whether or not they can get into the playoffs or if they will be staying at home. And I asked Coach, he talked about shoring up some things, but what is it exactly is it that they need to shore up on? What is it that they need to improve on the most down the stretch? Here's his response.
We've clicked on cylinders that, we hit the ball in some games, field the ball well in some games. We just need to continue to work to put a complete game together where we're, pitching well, we're throwing strikes, we're fielding the ball, and we're hitting it consistently. We're running bases well and we're smart, and we got a lot of energy in the dugout. And so, we are trying to put our thumb on those things this week that, the small things that we've got to shore up before that area series, it needs to be done this week and it needs to be done next week before we go into that.
The winning pitcher for the Pleasant Valley Raiders this morning was Samuel Duncan. He pitched a complete game for the Raiders. We talked with the winning pitcher, Samuel Duncan, after the game. You heard what Coach thought about his performance earlier, but how did Samuel feel like he did on the mound?
Not the greatest overall. Some pitches were throwing, but some of them weren't hitting on the outside corner like I'd like them to, but I did like my defense behind my back, so they came up in clutch when I was a little bit down in some positions, and then when I was up in some strikes to strike them out, they also had my back. So it was really all around a good game overall, but the energy in the dugout wasn't the greatest that it's been, but we found a way to get a win.
It is tough to pitch when you're pitching not in just cold temperatures, but when you got the wind blowing 10 plus miles per hour. And that is what Amberson from Wellborn and what Duncan from Pleasant Valley had to basically battle through this morning. Was the winds were blowing. It was over 10 plus miles per hour. It was very chilly. It was cold. It was really cold. And so I asked him, when you go out there and you're pitching at 70, 80, it's, hot outside, but there's not a lot that you have to adjust to in terms of the temperature or the wind. So obviously when you pitch in a game where the wind's blowing 10 plus miles per hour, how much does that change your approach to each pitch? And I asked him to just talk about the adjustments when you've got a morning like this morning where it's very windy.
Well, the start of it, I couldn't really feel my release point, but the wind's at her back, so it was kind of weird throwing over the top a little bit. Made your hands freeze a little bit, couldn't feel the laces, but we found a way to nail it down and get. It was really on the mound though, where you'd have to put your placement on your foot to get it over the plate.
It didn't seem to faze Samuel Duncan too much, as he did get the complete game win for Pleasant Valley as they defeated Wellborn 5-4. Hey, that's going to do it for us today. We hope you enjoyed the highlights on the Locker Room. We'll have more highlights later this week of more games taking place throughout the week at Chockalacca Park and the Spring Break Experience Baseball Tournament. Other than that, I'm Namath Pitts. I want to remind you about our East Alabama Now news tonight at 6:30 p.m. I hope to see you there. Other than that, we'll see you back here tomorrow on the Locker Room presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond.